Hello, people. Hope you're doing really well. Welcome back to another edition of Deciphering the Horseshit going on in Clown World. Yeah, I hope things are going okay for you wherever you are. So we're gonna get into it's a NDE, but this woman believes that she's having a conversation with God, and we'll see what this God tells this woman. It's a really long NDE. It's on the Jeff Mara podcast. So obviously, I'm not going to go through all of it, but this was a really important clip which I thought I'd make a video about. So before I get into it, guys, don't forget, give the video a like, comment, all that stuff really helps me out. And don't forget, you can find all my other work, details of sessions and my course, things like that, on my website, transcendingtimes.org. Without further ado, let's get straight into it and let's see what God has to say. So,
has me look again, and this time,
just to give you some background, she's in the middle of her NDE. She's with God, and they're looking down on the earth, and they're looking at souls that she's being told are coming up to heaven, or she believes are coming up to heaven, and souls that are stuck there on the planet. So,
as I'm looking at the planet in the flames, I see the souls that aren't lifting off. Like they're stuck. They're not lifting off. And God says to me, Erica, hand in hand with the gift of life, I give free will.
So, that's very passive aggressive. So he gives free will, but if you don't believe in him, you're going to burn. That's kind of what I'm taking it. Correct me if I'm wrong. She's seeing burning souls or whatever on the earth, and God's saying, I gave them free will. So essentially what he's saying is that they had the choice, and because they didn't choose to believe in me, they're now being punished and they're burning. Does that sound like a loving God to you? Doesn't to me.
So I came to understand in that moment that what God was telling me was that he loves each and every one of his creation, his children.
He loves them so much, he's going to burn them.
Children. So much that free will is the gift of being able to let that human choose that love connection or not. Meaning, he's not forcing any of his kids, you will have a love connection with me, you will love me, and everything. That's what.
Yeah, but he's threatening them with not going to this heaven, this place of unconditional love that we're told. If we use our free will not to believe in God, then we get punished. So she's not mentioning that there are consequences that comes with this so-called free will. Well, she's not mentioned it yet anyway. Let's see.
Free will is the most vital sacrifice of a gift that you could ever give.
And we're not here. We don't have free will. We have the illusion of free will. What this lady needs to do is try and travel to a different country without her passport on her. And then she'll find out very quickly that this planet that God has created, it doesn't have free will.
Give to let them choose. And he was not so happy, he loves everyone so much that the sadness was because of the ones that chose to not have that connection. His heart hurt for them because he knew he could not force it.
And again, I use this example a lot, but how do people in Gaza Strip have free will? They can't even move from one street to the next without a bomb coming down on them. This whole idea that we have free will on this planet, we're supposed to, but we don't. Try not paying your taxes, or try going into a supermarket and not using their slave system of money, and then find out if you've got free will, because you'll be banged up sooner than you can imagine. It's just more delusions. And actually, an interesting point that I've noticed right now, there's a lot of people are getting really sick. A lot of people are getting cancers from and the heart issues from the you know whats. I'm not going to talk about it too much on here because I already get too many videos taken down and censored and stuff. But aligned with that is more and more NDEs, more and more NDE channels coming out. So it's almost like the Matrix the Matrix knows that more people are going to be passing. So they really need to ramp up their afterlife propaganda. It's just an observation. It's a little bit off topic, but it's just something that I've noticed. But it really annoys me, this whole concept of free will. You know, you hear it a lot in the New Age movement as well. And yeah, like I say, we're supposed to have free will, but we don't. And I'm sick of people telling us that we do have free will.
And so that was.
And again, what I want her to talk about is the consequences of using your free will, quote unquote, to not believe, to choose in this deity that everyone has been hanging around for millennia to come and save them. That people for millennia have been praying to and have unanswered prayers. And believe that God works in mysterious ways where he'll let a child die of cancer, but he'll let a paedophile run the world. I mean, at this point, I'm just going to call things as they are, you know. I'm not interested in, you know, what feels good or half-truths or any like that. I just call it as I see it. Someone explain to me, like, what's the working of this loving God here? Like, he wants you to go every day or every week to a place of worship to, you know, break bread and drink wine, which is symbolic of blood, I would imagine. It's probably a satanic ritual. And I've used the example before. Like, you wouldn't worship your mother. Your mum created you, or she's a big part of the creative process anyway. But your mum doesn't need worship. She doesn't. My mum's not going to phone me up and say, "Look, Tony, like, I want you every Sunday to worship me. Otherwise I'm going to like abandon you or whatever." Like, I don't know. It's not only illogical, it's downright dumb, and it's still incredible to me that people believe this concept and can take an honest look around this planet and tell us that, or tell me that there is a loving God operating here that has given us free will to just roam around and do what we want and make the choices that we want to make without any consequences. It's horseshit. It really is. Now this woman's gone to heaven and she's being told all this. Where's her discernment? Why isn't she asking simple questions? This is what I don't get. They're so enamored with the idea of this savior that we call God. So pathetic in terms of their own, knowing their own power and their own, or what they are themselves, that they immediately bow to any entity that shows up and says, "Oh, I'm God, I'm Jesus, I'm your angel, I'm your guide." Because they're so damn desperate to believe in something. And what happens? They come back here again.
The most profound lesson for me is how important. I mean, we think we're so insignificant, but
so we're going already with the lessons again. So I'm sure this is going to go down the line of, it's a school, you know, we're here to learn and yada yada yada.
Everything I learned, you know, how important each of us are to God. Not just some of us, not just 500 of us, but each and every soul.
Apart from the souls that are starving in Africa and the kids in Gaza and the people that I walk past here, rummaging through bins because they can't eat because of the corrupt governments, then are they just as important? Where's the support and love from God here for those people?
That important. And so after that lesson, it was like I didn't feel like I could handle anymore. I mean, it was like I am so ready to just go and turn and join all the souls and be reunited. I know I'm home. This is what I signed up for.
This is what I signed up for. Yeah, she's in a much better place, and she wants to stay there. I mean, even if that part of the matrix is deceitful, it still feels a lot better than what's going on down here. And as with all these NDEs, there's always a great resistance. They don't want to come back here, and for good reason. They know deep down.
I'm just so ready. And I just remember turning and starting to run into heaven. And for the first time, I was allowed to turn around and see it. And at this time, what I saw was a planet. Heaven was a planet. And that was hard for me because I wasn't raised to ever know it as that. But I'm just telling you what I experienced.
I would imagine that it's some kind of holographic technology that they use for people that believe in heaven. For people that believed in religion, when they set their intention to see heaven or go to heaven, then this is the place that they have created in the astral realm that they call heaven. That's what I assume it is.
That's what it was. And I'm starting to run in there thinking I'm going to get to go into heaven and our lessons are done for today.
The lessons are done. The lessons are never done. The lessons are never done in this matrix. There's always another lesson for you. The matrix will make sure of that.
And I remember just being froze and I couldn't move. And this is the point. I'm sorry about my dogs. So this was...
Who froze her? And she couldn't move. Why is she not asking, why was I frozen? Why couldn't I move? She wanted to go to this place, but something stopped her.
The first time where I could really feel the sense of humor and appreciation that God has, being taught that God is just I'm, this, and this, and I'm going to judge you and everything. But in this moment, God had laughter. So he was laughing with me because, here I am. I'm like
probably at your naivete. Probably.
Like a kid running, and he stops me and he says, "Oh, no, child. You're not staying.
Here we go. It's not your time. Wait for it.
You have to complete your mission. And your mission is down there." Yeah. And I'm looking, and it's the planet, and it's engulfed.
Surprise.
In flames. And
let me just rewind that.
And that's where he's telling me, basically, I feel like I could handle anymore. I mean, it was like, I am so ready to just go and turn and join all the souls and, be reunited. I know I'm home. This is what I signed up for. I'm just so ready. And I just remember turning and starting to run into heaven. And for the first time, I was allowed to turn around and see it.
Allowed? Who's... all this free will, there's you have to be allowed to just look at things, right? Who's making those decisions that you can and cannot see certain things if you have all this free will that you're talking about?
And at this time, what I saw was a planet. Heaven was a planet. And that was hard for me because I wasn't raised to ever know it as that. But I'm just telling you what I experienced. That's what it was. And I'm starting to run in there thinking I'm going to get to go into heaven and our lessons are done for today. And I remember just being froze and I couldn't move. And this is the point. I'm sorry about my dogs. So this was the first time where I could really feel the sense of humor and appreciation that God has, being taught that God is just like, I'm, this, and this, and I'm going to judge you and everything. But in this moment, God had laughter. So he was laughing with me because, here I am. I'm like a kid running, and he stops me and he says, "Oh, no, 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 child. You're not staying. You have to complete your mission, and your mission is down there." And I'm looking, and it's the planet, and it's engulfed in flames. And that's where he's telling me, basically, I got to go because I'm not done. And I'm thinking, that is not even possible at this point because look, I mean, seriously, what am I going back to? And so I'm having these real human conflicting feelings of emotion.
So just to get this straight, God loves you and he wants to send you back to a burning planet. Something doesn't seem quite right there, does it? There seems to be a bit of a disconnect. Oh, of course, you have a mission. You got to go back down there and, complete your mission. Of course.
I'm home, and how can you do this to me? Separate me. And he said, remember, I gave you the gift of patience. I gave you the gift of beauty. But now I want to give you 2 more gifts before I send you back.
So it's not her time. He's going to send her back, but she has free will. Again, am I missing something here? She should be saying at this point, because she clearly doesn't want to go back, hey, look, God, you told me that I've got free will, and I'm telling you that I don't want to go back down to that burning planet. So you either stick to your part of the bargain, or this is all a big farce. That's what I'd be saying. But she won't, because she's pedestalized this entity, probably what it is, probably a reptilian or something, some cloaked entity that's shapeshift into this god figure.
I'm going to give you the gift of knowledge and the gift of wisdom. And I want you to be quiet and listen to the people that I put into your life. And then when you speak, you will take patience, beauty, knowledge, and wisdom, and you will change millions of people's lives.
Translated as, I'm going to give you a half decent feeling up here for a little while, let you feel good for a little while. I'm going to masquerade so you feel like you've met God. I'm going to love bomb you so it all feels good. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you back down there so you can become an agent for the Matrix and promote all this nonsense and tell everything that everything's going to be all right. God loves you. God's loving. You have free will. Thousands of people are going to watch your content, if not millions. And you're going to deceive a whole bunch of other people. So when they die, they're going to be met with the same fate and recycled back into the Matrix, back down to Clown World. That's really what her role is.
And before I could even argue with God, I felt like I was being stuffed into a tunnel and out.
Stuffed into a tunnel. Like, just let that sink in, guys, right? If you're stuffing something into a tunnel, that thing is not going by its own free will, is it? That's being stuffed. That's like, a stuff is like that, right? Does that sound like something that's loving? Does that sound like something that is blessing you with free will? That sounds like something that wants to force you back down somewhere. And what they've done, or what it's done, is it's peppered a bit of sugar on the horse shit to make it, oh, you're going to have knowledge and you're going to have wisdom and people are going to, and it's going to be amazing, right? And you're going to change people's life. So they've sprinkled some sugar on the pile of dog shit or horse shit to make it more palatable for her, and then they've stuffed her back down.
Sent out of heaven and pushed back. And I could feel myself. And this time, It was completely opposite of the tunnel that I came up to heaven in. There was no...
This is what I say, guys, right, about when we pass, just use your intention and focus on leaving. If you get to the point, this is just my opinion, right? You do you, right? Because it's an important decision that everyone has to make. But if I get to the point where I feel like I'm talking to like an entity and or a god figure, I feel like I've gone too far. I feel like I've made a wrong turning, and I'm going to use my intention, and I'm just going to leave. No conversations until I'm totally sure that I'm out. Then I'm not going to be engaging with any beings within this matrix. So, like I say, you do you. This is just what I'm doing.
No light. There was absolutely no light. There was no stars. It was complete darkness. And I felt confined. I felt like I was standing and I couldn't move my arms. I felt confined. I felt alone. I didn't have that love connection feeling like I did in the tunnel going up. I felt like it was very slow. And I felt like at one point it was slowing down. And I was terrified because I was alone. I was absolutely terrified. And I remember thinking, okay, I got to get out of this. I'm like stuck.
Yeah, I mean, you hear this a lot from NDEs, and I've gone into stuff myself and with clients where people, they don't want to be born. They know what this is. There was another one that I was watching the other day, and I might do a review on that, where the guy said that he was convinced to come back down. He was happy that he was out of here, and then an energy came in and told him that he had a purpose and a mission. Same kind of rhetoric, right? And he said he came down and he said he felt dirty. He said he felt dirty in these bodies. He felt almost trapped, and he felt resentful to the energy that convinced him that he had to come back down. He said he felt a lot of anger towards that. I actually emailed this guy and I said, look, you've been deceived. Like, this is a soul trap. I really wanted to get him onto the channel and have a chat with him because he seemed quite open-minded. Because he said after the NDE he was searching for answers. But of course, when you search for this stuff, all you stumble across is women like her and people like, sorry, not just women, men like her saying that it's all love and it's all great and it's all right on the night. There's very few people talking about what's really going on with the in terms of the soul recycling and the memory wipe and all that kind of stuff. He's not emailed me back yet, but he describes the same thing, like really scared about being back here. Just being in the body felt very heavy, and he used the word dirty. Just the denseness of this reality, the low vibrational frequency of being on the physical plane is often very traumatic for these people that come back. And she clearly doesn't want to be here. She clearly, if she could have used her own free will, this is the irony of it, that these people, they can't seem to join the dots. They're so simple. The dots are so simple to join. She's not, because it's God. She's not asking the question, well, why didn't I have my free will? Why couldn't I exercise my free will to choose not to come back down here? But she doesn't. She doesn't join the dots because they hang off every word that these entities tell them, because they've pedestalized them, and because this entity called himself God, she's not going to question it. And we need to question absolutely everything in this matrix. We have to get this right. This whole NDE stuff, soul trap, we have to get it right, because if we don't, then we're open to being deceived again. So,
like, I was to a standstill in nothingness, and I didn't know how to get going to go down again, because the sooner I go down, I get to Earth and I get to finish my mission and I get to go back to heaven. That's all I could think is, I've got to figure this out. I don't know what to do. How do I go get moving again? And as soon as I had that thinking, I heard something. And it was in the very far distance, and it was like a buzzing noise, in my left ear. And
Probably AI, voice to skull technology, etheric AI technology.
I thought, okay, well, it's the only sense I have is hearing, so I'm going to focus on that, and I'm going to figure something out, and I've got to, get out of this place.
Look how desperate she is to get out. She's absolutely desperate to get out of this place. She doesn't want to do her mission. You can tell just by what she's saying. But she was stuffed. She uses the word stuffed back down here. And that's something that needs further investigation, because that really is that's really a violation of you really exercising, our true free will in that dimension of where we decide to go. The problem is she got caught up with entities too long, and that's almost, you can almost liken that to like a physical attack, but in the energetic sense. It's almost like walking down a street and someone robs you, or do you know what I mean? It's and this is why I think energy training is also really important. We really don't want to sort of leave anything to chance with this stuff, but the fact that she was just stuffed is kind of, it's kind of bad, really, and it makes you wonder, like, what else is going on with that stuff.
And so the more I started listening to this buzzing noise, then it became louder, and it was like, I don't know if they do it anymore, but when I was growing up in the old days, like at midnight or something, when the TV shows were off for the evening, there was like the American flag or whatever, and then they had that bzz. It was almost like this white noise on the screen, like bzz. So it went from little buzzing to this whole buzzing noise, and it was vibrating. And the more I listened to it, the vibrating became more intense. And then the vibrate got so strong that it started pulling me out of this confined tunnel. So it pulled me to the left out of the tunnel, and then I was on my back, and I was floating on my back, and it was like this noise was pulling me somewhere, but I couldn't see anything. It was pitch dark. And it's pulling me, and it's getting louder, and it's getting louder. And all of a sudden, I'm just to a stop again, but this time I'm on my back, and I'm just hovering in nothingness. And that buzzing noise becomes garbled, muffling, like if a bunch of people were in a small auditorium and everybody's having a conversation at once. So much so, it's so loud that you can't even hear your conversation or anybody else's. It's so loud. It was like muffled noise. And I had this epiphany, oh my God, this sounds like people. And as soon as I had that knowing that this is people's voices, all of a sudden beneath me, I could see the light. Light came on, and I could see all of these people in the darkness, and my light was on, my light force, it came on, and they could see me. And as they could see me, and I'm just hovering, like just above them, I could feel their hands, all these hands, and they were pulling me down, all of them. And every finger that was laid on me, I knew it was human, and their energy force was taking my life force out. So the more hands that came on me, the lower I would get down into this crowd. And I knew at that point that if something didn't happen, that I would not have the energy or the life force that I needed to get out. I could just feel them overcoming me, and everything was completely draining and negative. It was you could feel self-loathing. All of the fingers on me, I could feel all of their feelings. And it was hatred, anger, self-loathing.
Welcome back to planet Earth.
thing. And the one common thread with all of this was there was no love connection present to our Creator. So it was all of these souls, these
To the creator that just stuffed you back down again. Really?
people. And the only
And guys, I'm not. I do believe that there is some kind of creative intelligence behind everything, but it's not this. It's not this person, this entity that she met. It can't be, because that entity has gone against everything that she wants to do.
the reason why they were grabbing onto me is because my life force had came on. I called out to God in that moment. I cried, please help me, God. I love you. Don't leave me here. And just having that love for God connected me to God again. And I felt reluctantly all of those hands, and it felt like it took forever, but each one of them was taking their hands off me and they couldn't hold me anymore. And I started rising above them again. And I just remember talking to God that whole time and telling God, please, I love you. Don't leave me here. You know, I don't want.
Does it sound like to you guys that this God loves her back? Leave a comment or
To be here. I love you so much, God. I want to be with you. You know, those kind of things. And it kept making me finally get out of that space and go back slowly to the tunnel that I was in. And I noticed that when I would even stop to like take a breath for a second, I felt myself stop all of a sudden again, and I knew that I was going to go right back over into that space. And so I just kept talking to God the whole time. And eventually I got into the tunnel and I was stood back up like this and I had my hands at my side again. And I eventually started going back down towards the planet. And it was really exhausting, but it just really showed me through that whole thing of how all I needed was that love connection with God. And everything else would be taken care of.
no, you really did. You could feel the presence of the earth, and you just needed a little sweetener to help you go fully back down, and that's what this God did for you. It's just it's just an entity that's masquerading.
Care of. But it was so painstaking to go through it, and I think that it was important because if I wouldn't have gone through it like that and felt that, then I wouldn't have understood that that's all that matters is that love connection. And I remember at one point as I'm going back down the tunnel and, you know, Earth was still quite some ways in a distance, that I asked God, why are they there? Because when they touched me, I had all the knowledge come to me and knew they were people like me. And I didn't understand. Why did you put them there?
Again, what kind of knowledge is she being given? You know, she's being given their version of knowledge. She's not being given like the truth about, you know, what happened in the world wars and the truth about the corruption and what's going on to children. Like that's real knowledge. She's not being given anything like that. She's being given basically false knowledge, fake knowledge, so she can come back down here and propagate it to other people, thinking that she's had this experience with the all-loving, all-knowing God that wants to stuff you back down into a human body.
And God said to me, Erica, with the gift of life, hand in hand, I give free will. I didn't put those people there. They put themselves there when they chose to not have that love connection.
Oh, right, yeah, it's all our fault again, isn't it? They love to make it all our fault. Yet she has that same connection, yet she's back down there again. Like just simple questions that these people don't ask.
God, everything I've learned about you, you would never give up on not one of your children, not one. I saw how you hurt. I saw it when they were in the flames on the planet. And I learned that God never gives up on any of us. And do you know that at any time, those people that put themselves there on what I call the edge of hell, they could get out at any time. God didn't put them there, they did. And they could get out themselves by.
They're being punished, is what she's saying. These people are being punished. Just let this sink in. God loves you, apparently. He cares about you. He's sad. But because you don't believe him, because you use your free will not to believe in him, you're going to get punished in a hell realm. Like that really, really makes a lot of sense. That's like going back to my mum analogy again. That's like me not believing in her or whatever, and she gets a baseball bat and wraps it around my head. Like that's how sociopathic. And mum, if you're watching this, I know you'd never do that, right? I'm just saying, just using it as an example. But that's the creative part or essence in your life punishing you for not believing in you. It's crazy.
Choosing to have that connection with God, like I did. When I cried out to God again and my light was shining even more, and it was that force that took me away, they could get out at any time as well and choose that. So God.
Yeah, so if you're shoehorned into believing in God, then you get out. Where he can potentially just stuff you back down again and tell you you've got a mission.
Wasn't punishing them. They were using their free willpower. And that was the result. And that was important for me to learn.
But it really just depends on the person as well. You know, if you're into karma, then they'll use karma against you. This woman was obviously religious beforehand, so they're playing the religious card. But yeah, like if you're someone that believes in karma, then they'll use that, and they'll be like, well, you know, you hurt these people, and we're not going to judge you, but they're going to show you your worst part, so you feel bad about yourself, um, and then guilt trip you back down here, tell you you've got a mission and all that stuff.
Because how I learned heaven and hell and everything else worked, in organized religion as a child, that's not what I was shown. And so that was really important to me to experience that. It was a whole.
How is it any different? You were shown a place of perceived love that you didn't want to leave, that made you feel good while you were there, and then you were shown this place where people are punished, and you use the word yourself, on fire, the planet's on fire, because they chose not to believe in God. That's exactly what organized religion teaches. So it's not any different at all.
Awakening for me. And eventually, I did get back down to Earth. And when I got back down to Earth, I found myself on the ceiling of the emergency room. And I was looking at this point at my body, my shell, on a gurney in an emergency room. And my husband was sitting there crying over my body. And I just remember having the realization that what was going to happen next was I was going to have to go into my body, and having this panic moment of there's no way that I can fit into that body. Because remember, our senses.
It does feel like that as well. I was having a conversation the other day with a client. It feels like these human bodies are kind of, yeah, like our spirit or our soul does literally get kind of stuffed inside, and it feels quite restrictive from that point of view.
aren't limited, when we aren't confined to that body, and to feel like you know, you are so much more than that, and then to see that, it was like it's never going to work. I mean, I was panicking, and I was crying out to God, you know, begging God, don't make me do it, don't make me go.
She was begging and crying to God that don't make me do it. But she's got free will. You do the maths, guys. I'm just reporting on it. I'm just reporting the illogical rhetoric of all of this.
I can't do it. Please, I thought I could. I know I have a mission to finish, but you know, I can't do this, God. I cannot do this.
So she's using her free will to actually say no. So what's God going to do?
And God said to me, I love you, and with me, all things are possible. And then at that point, I remember just being stuffed back into my body.
Stuffed again. Like, that's not good. That's, yeah. I mean, he didn't have to do a lot to convince her. He just told her that he loved her. I mean,
I didn't have a choice. And I could feel everything filling up my toes, filling up my fingers. Myself was like I was unfolding myself inside.
Filling up the clown shoes.
Inside of this shell, which was me. And that's when I woke up. So.
Okay, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Yeah, make of that what you will. I think I've unpacked it all. You get what I'm trying to say. Whatever God she's dealing with clearly doesn't respect her free will because she was begging him not to be there. Clearly doesn't love her, because if you love someone, then you do grant them their free will. It's just empty words, isn't it? God's told her that she's got free will. I mean, why she doesn't join, like, why they don't join the dots and say, oh, God told me I got free will, but I got stuff down here, like, So I really wanted to make that video because, well, she talks about God, and of course everyone thinks God is so great, and I question that, and you know, a lot of people are going to get triggered by that, and it is what it is. But yeah, none of that adds up to me, and yeah, it's people are being punished for, you know, for not believing in that deity. So how is that love? And so yeah, it's just another theme of the Matrix. Like I say, just like karma, or if she was Buddhist, that would be used against her, or if she was a New Ager, it would be her guides. And so these places are all illusionary, and I think they use a lot of holographic technology and love bombing and all, you know, all the kind of tricks that they use in this matrix to convince and shoehorn people into doing things that they don't want to do, and they just use the ways that are going to appeal to that person most of all, and in her case it's heaven and hell and all that stuff. So yeah, if you like the video, guys, give it a like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.